सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Political Adda. We are shooting this right after the results of three northeastern states, the election results of three northeastern states have come in, and also that of four very crucial bypolls. Now in the state elections, the BJP seems to have done exceedingly well, where they could not manage number themselves. They have managed to come into government by allying with regional parties, whereas in the bypolls there have been some unexpected results, with the Maha Vikas Aghadi alliance winning the Kasbapeth constituency in Maharashtra. Also a surprise in Sagardighi in Bengal, where the Congress has managed to win that seat and in fact have its first member in the Bengal Assembly. So we'll be discussing all of this, and what we are going to be focusing on is what are the takeaways that we get from these results in the run up to the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. So joining us for this episode, we have our political editor D.K. Singh and also Professor Chandrachur Singh, Faculty of Political Science at Delhi University, and also a political analyst. And before we start, I'd also like to tell you guys that we had put out a question for Political Adda on Sunday, where we said that we'll be discussing the AICC Plenary. I'm sorry we couldn't do it earlier, so we'll be taking those questions in this episode, and we'll also get Professor Singh to weigh in on what he has to say for the AICC Plenary. So Professor Singh, starting with you first, right off the bat, what for you were the biggest takeaways from the elections in the three northeastern states that we saw, and also the bypolls? There were some very surprising results there as well.
Well, thank you, Ishadrita. I think the key thing that I draw from these results is that the electoral spaces are quite open. I mean, so it's not a shut and forget it. So that case is not there. I mean, people are aware and people vote according to things that appeal to them, and they're not in terms of that they have already decided for one thing and that they cannot look to the alternative. I mean, look to the bypolls, for example. We'll come to the state elections later. Now, in the bypolls, what do we see? We see the Congress getting 3 out of I think 5 that gone to poll. I think the one seat from Arunachal Pradesh went uncontested, so that let's take that away. So 3 out of the 5, and the BJP wins 1 in Jharkhand, for example. Not really 1, but in the sense that the backing was there. I mean, all Jharkhand Students Union won the seat, but the backing of the BJP was there. So you see that the UPA is ruling Jharkhand. It loses 1 of the seats. The Shiv Sena alliance, the new Shiv Sena alliance is Maharashtra. The BJP loses 1 very important seat, which it has been holding for the last 28 years, right? So what you see is that the voters are aware where to go, whom to vote for, and any political party which is willing to bend its back and is willing to appeal to the people with some new charm, with some new appeal, and with some mathematical equation. So any political party which is willing to do its homework well can think of getting the rewards as well. So I think the bypolls are kind of an reconfirmation of the assertion that political parties will have to really dig their heels well in order to get, or in order to taste, that electoral success. The Congress is there still in the race. However, it has to really ramp up itself well, oil its machinery well, be there on the ground. I mean, before it can really think of challenging the hegemon, which the BJP is. So I think it's a mixed bag for everybody. the 3 states which have gone to the BJP, well, even there, if you do the micro analysis, you'll see that the hopes are there. I mean, in Tripura, for example, the Congress does seem to increase its vote share. I mean, from 1 point some percentage, it has gone up to 8 point some percent. So it's a 7 times, kind of increase in the vote share. The BJP's vote share has gone down there in Tripura, but it continues to hold on to the seat because of its arithmetical arrangements and its well-oiled electoral machines. If you look into Meghalaya and Nagaland, the alliance systems seems to be working there. So, different states, different constituencies have different ways of, mobilizing. You cannot have a straight jacket and straight cut solution for every constituencies. It's constituency by constituency, state by state, that elections will have to be taken into account.
DK sir, what would you say is, what is the one thing, if I could ask you, that really stuck with you after the results yesterday?
In fact, I will borrow his phrase. Electoral spaces are open. That you saw even in Tripura, where Tripura Motha out of nowhere suddenly Burma decides to float this party in contests and goes on to win 13 seats. Pretty big deal. But if you talk about my takeaway, it will be this appetite for electoral victories. I mean, the BJP is not waning even after 8-9 years. It can go on to any extent to ensure that it wins. No individuals are important. No particular strategy they are fixated on. They keep changing strategies, doing new things in different states just to win. So here also, if you look at Biplab Deb was very popular. I mean, he has spent 5 years there. He became a popular face. But once the BJP realized that he was becoming a liability, they just dumped him 9 months before the election. And this is also strange. Every time they have been changing the CMs midway, it seems to be working for them. So you have seen from Gujarat days that almost 25 to 30% ML eligibility dropped to beat anti-incumbency. But now the party has started dropping even chief ministers. So it started with Gujarat again. 2016, Anandiben Patel was removed. Rupani was brought in. Then again he was removed before the next election, in 2022 election, and then Bhupen Patel was brought in, and it worked. We saw what happened in Uttarakhand within a span of 3-4 months. 2 CMs were changed, and Dhami himself lost his own assembly constituency, and yet the party won. You have seen it in Tripura. I am sure Bombay, anyway, there is not much time for Bombay to worry about. It's just a couple of months left.
In fact, many are pointing out because they didn't do that in Himachal.
Yeah, so many incumbent chief ministers for the BJP must be shivering. So coming back to the Tripura polls and how it has panned out. So what I am saying is, while electoral spaces are open, as Professor Chandrachur Singh is saying, it's about the BJP also. The BJP may be celebrating, but fact is it was a tough fight. He is talking about this dip by 5 percentage point in the BJP's numbers, from 43.5% to about 39%. It was dipping. It could have further gone down because we have done that analysis, and our viewers may read our copy on the website. If you look at Tripura Motha, but for Tripura Motha, the BJP would have done badly. So Tripura Motha has won 13 seats, and Left and Congress have together won 14 seats. But as per our analysis, if you look at the victory margin of the BJP candidates, if Tripura Motha was not in the fray, Congress and Left would have won 18 more seats. That would have brought the BJP's tally down to 14.
In fact, even in our live discussions yesterday, I mean, if the Tripura Motha and the Congress Left alliance had worked out, it would have been a completely different scenario in Tripura.
So you may be celebrating your governance model and what you did in Tripura, but the fact is it was Dev Burma who was the decisive factor. But it tells you, again, then you talk about all these so-called BJP B teams which have been floating. Earlier Congress used to call Asauddin Owaisi as BJP's B team, but in the northeast, you have Tripura Motha as BJP's B team as per Congress's description, then
Trinamool Congress
in Meghalaya. But who do you blame? I mean, after all, these parties are coming up because they find you pretty weak. And then you are also becoming arrogant, because with Tripura Motha you could have negotiated a deal, but you didn't. You didn't have much to lose, but you became so confident. So opposition's failure to capitalize on anti-incumbency, that's a big factor. In fact, in the Northeast, Congress did not even, central leaders of the Congress did not even bother to visit. And we have spoken about it, we have written about it. While you had the Prime Minister who went to Tripura thrice, he went to Nagaland, he went to Meghalaya. Here you have Rahul Gandhi who made just one visit to Shillong, just one. Mallikarjun Kharge goes to Nagaland, just one visit. Nobody goes to Tripura. All top leaders remain absent. That tells you the defeatist tendency of the opposition. And for once, you cannot even blame Hindutva or nationalism, because in these elections, there was neither Hindutva nor nationalism. It was plain incompetence of these parties. Third takeaway for me, Mamata Banerjee's national dream crashing finally.
Just add one this to what DK said. The point is, this whole idea of, when we were a bit younger, we used to hear this communal politics, communal politics, communal politics. This rant is not going to work any longer against the BJP, right? I mean, look at what Mamata Banerjee immediately had to say. BJP is communal, Congress is communal, left is communal, right is communal, everybody is communal. Now, the problem is if you keep, having the same rhetorical tags, the voters, particularly the younger voters, they are not going to buy this. And look at Tripura, for example. I mean, yes, the vote share has gone down. But look at, for example, women voting for the BJP. Look at the younger people voting for BJP and its alliance partner in Nagaland as well as in Meghalaya. So what happens is, the mobilization has to be based on some appeal, some charm. And when the Prime Minister drives it up front, naturally there's nobody in the opposition who at least, see, whether win or lose is a different game. But the opposition they don't even seem to be offering that challenge. I mean, if you can't go and, mobilize, well, the era of entitlement politics is long over. It's long over. The Prime Ministers have to be earning their position. I mean, whosoever is the Prime Minister, either the Chief Minister or a Cabinet Minister, you can't simply ride and, drop from above and say, well, this is my post and this is what I was born for. I don't think that works.
Exactly. Look at what happened in Nagaland. So it's a predominantly Christian state. Now you had the church giving a call indirectly that don't vote for the BJP, and yet BJP's vote share goes up from 15% to about 18.5% almost, or around 18%, despite all these very explicit calls by the church. So obviously voters are not buying what you're saying.
Yes, and
what the opposition is saying.
And the fact is that the BJP also knows, like for example in Meghalaya again, they had this, pre-poll fallout with Conrad Sangma and the NPP. But, that window was always open, and they knew that if NPP comes back, then it is again going to form government with them. So it was a sort of...
I won't call it a fallout, because I had met Sangma, we had gone to Shillong, and, even then he was clear that, okay, BJP cannot... He was worried about the BJP expanding its footprint, but he was never ready to tell us whether you never come back post polls. So it was like Sangma could not have gone along with the BJP because of the BJP's politics and ideology and narrative, which does not work in his state. But he never said that I will never break bread with the BJP post polls. So it was a strategic move. I don't think there was a real fallout.
And Ishadrita, just again to tell you this, I get reminded very often. I'm a teacher of Western philosophy as well, and I get reminded, when science comes in, when materialism comes in, this church and other business also go down. I mean, look at the Northeast and look at the narrative that the BJP has set in. Kya kehte isko? Hira, highway, internet, railway, airways, right? And opening the Northeast towards the Southeast Asia by the Act East policy. I mean, it will take time before it starts fructifying, but the mere narrative itself gives a lot of hope to the friends in the Northeast. I mean, we all studied at Delhi University and we had many friends from the Northeast. So the elite used to be here. I mean, one of the women who's won from Nagaland, remember, is a LSR student, was a LSR student, was also at the law faculty. So you can see the elites were coming here. Now it's the common people in Northeast, and that's what the Prime Minister has been focusing on, at least in his speeches. Now that fire is missing in the non-BJP parties. Unless they get together and unless they start, fomenting an alliance, is simply for the heck of it will not happen. I mean, for example, this Tripura thing. I mean, the Congress and the left, they've been fighting like anything for years. All of a sudden, you come together, people are not going to buy that argument as well. I mean, so you have to work it out in a way where what you're doing does not reflect opportunism, because remember, you'll be blaming the BJP for opportunism. The BJP is going to wipe you out either ways because of its electoral mechanism, because of its strength, because of its leadership, because of its organization, because of the money that it has. So either ways, the half of the battle the BJP starts and winning right from the day when the elections are announced. It only contests the half of it. The opposition, जैसे होता है ना एग्जाम के एक रात पहले पढ़ने से टॉप नहीं करता, वो वाला चक्कर है.
Yeah, so what DK had just mentioned, Rahul Gandhi went to Meghalaya once before the elections, Kharge went to Nagaland once, that too very late in the campaign stage. None of these big top brass of the Congress ended up in Tripura. Now, even before the election results, when we used to go around AICC as beat reporters, there was a very strong feeling within the Congress, and even especially for people who are working in Tripura, that of the three states, Tripura is where actually the Congress can do well compared to the other two. And there was this sort of, like the workers didn't quite understand that why Kharge and Rahul Gandhi chose the other two states, but they didn't come to Tripura. So, do you think that when we were talking about opportunism, with the Congress, they can't recognize an opportunity when they see it, like even if it's right in front of them?
See, Ishadrita, the point is the opportunity was there. I mean, it's not to say that the opportunity was not there, but you cannot have an opportunity. You cannot make a window overnight. I mean, if you've been fighting with the left and you've been blaming them for corruption and for militarization and for everything, and then you start shaking hands, it's not going to convince the people. I mean, look at, and remember, the leaders may have a bonhomie of sorts, but the candor has to be energized. I mean, look to what has happened to the left as well as the Congress in terms of the Congress has gained, of course, because if you're at zero, you will only gain. But look at the drop in the left's vote share in Tripura. I think it comes down from 42.2 to almost 24.6. Yeah. So it's almost 20% drop. And why is it happening? It's because the identity politics is coming back. The BJP is bringing the identity politics back. Pradyot Barman is bringing that identity politics back. What the left had done is no longer what the left was gaining because of its militarized, the kind of aggressive, pro-populist kind of things that they did. But the younger people do not want that. They want to be up. For example, speak to any person. I mean, even in Hindi heartlands like Bihar and UP, they want pride. They want pride. And if you have lingual states, ethnic states, that pride is beaming today because of the world that we live in, right? So the BJP as well as the Tripura Motha, both riding on that identity politics. Of course, the tribal politics of Tripura Motha, already being there. So it means that the Congress had to do something, create a constituency of voter. The left was on the decline. So if you shake hands with the left, which is declining either ways, it's only going to pull you down. I mean, if somebody is coming down and if you shake hands with that, the gravitational force will pull you down. I think that's the biggest. I think the Congress should have created itself, or should ready itself for the longer haul, maybe in the next 5 years, next 10 years, rather than simply doing some kind of an arrangement overnight. ये पहले होता था 70s के election में रातों रात election बदल गया. अब नहीं होता है. It doesn't work that way. And I think the Congress has an opportunity in Tripura even today, but that opportunity will come maybe 7 years later, 8 years later. It's not going to come now. And I can tell you one thing because of my own personal experiences. You can think of it, just as the election day comes to an end, the campaigning comes to an end, the BJP guys, they start preparing for the next elections, right? They are now doing something which the Congress and the others can't even think of. What they're doing, talking to the younger minds, because remember the new voters every 5 years, the newer voters, the number goes up. And therefore, what the BJP has done is now they have started a campaign, as I am told, to connect. Each leader is going to connect with younger number of students from all across the country. Right? Look at the kind of aura that it creates. Look at the kind of buzz that it creates, and then driving that into electoral mechanism. They have a very different system altogether. So I think the non-BJP leaders, the non-BJP parties should understand, should take solace from the fact that opposition spaces are open. But because they are opposition, people are going to vote for them. That used to be things of the past, not any longer.
Professor Singh, before we move on to the bypolls and the AICC plenary, also there's a question by one of our viewers, Ayush, who asks, why does Congress consistently fail to recognize and promote good young leaders, and those same leaders do wonders when they leave the Congress? The latest example, of course, is Pradyot Burman.
See, that's basically because where will the leaders come from? The leaders of tomorrow will obviously have to come from the grassroots. The Congress does not have any organizational presence in the grassroots. Forget about the states that is not ruling, even the states where it is ruling, for example, Jharkhand. It's part of the system. I don't find any grassroots organizational presence of the Congress, even in those regions, right, where it is sharing power, or it is in power. Then what do? You hire people from here and there, people who can speak English, people who are convent educated, and make them the spokesperson. Spokespersons do not bring the votes. Spokesperson will only do the chatu karita of the leaders, all parties, right? And they may get something here and there for their survival, but they do not bring you votes, right? Only those spokespersons who have roots from amongst in the masses may perhaps be able to do something. Gone are the days of Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley and the others, right? So the point is, when you do not have leaders, from the grassroots, or leaders who have command in the grassroots, they will only be of ornamental value. And ornaments are something that you don't wear every day, isn't it? You go into a party, so they are flash leaders. They're not leaders in that sense, and therefore they are ready to go wherever the flashes, are beaming.
And another question on this point only, DK, if you can also weigh in on this. With the kind of, this is Priyanka Upadhyay, she's asking, with the kind of Hindutva image and Chanakya Niti showcased by Himanta Biswa Sharma time and again, will he be the next BJP national president after JP Nadda's term ends? And is it likely that he will be inducted into the Narendra Modi cabinet?
For the second question first, I would say no, because he is well ensconced and he is the party's point person there in the northeast. He is managing the show everywhere. So I don't think he is going to come to the center. As for the first question, I cannot predict anything, but I can only say that he has the potential. He has proved himself a master strategist, a la Amit Shah. If the party wants to use his services, why not? But whether he will become the party president or not, that I cannot say.
Professor Singh, another person that the Congress lost and probably regrets, Himanta Biswa Sharma. What do you think his future is in the BJP?
I don't know how correct. Of course, I can't substantiate it, but I can tell you from a very credible source that Himanta Biswa Sharma's loss is going to haunt the Congress for years to come. And that's again a very personal kind of a thing that led to this kind of the two splitting and going two different ways. It was not that it was an ideological reason or this reason or that reason. It was basically the egos, as we know in the the gossip world, or maybe whatever goes outside. The point is, Hemant Biswa Sharma was the kind of a firebrand leader who the Congress would have, they should have done everything to somehow make him stay there. The point is, when the leadership at the top itself doesn't have that kind of ground presence, then it will always be insecure vis-a-vis any leader who has whatsoever ground presence. So I think it's not just about Biswa Sharma. What about Madhav Rao Scindia's son, Jyotiraditya Scindia? What about Sachin Pilot? Look at the people who are in the Congress. Sachin Pilot, for example. Again, I know for sure that Sachin Pilot has major ground presence in Rajasthan. But what is he been the kind of the kind of treatment that Sachin Pilot has got? It's not going to help. I mean, you have to grow, inculcate younger leaders. Look at the Congress organization. Look at the people who are there, in charge of affairs. I mean, do you and I connect with them? Do we connect with them? See, the point is, the past is there, but you have to be ready for the present. And I think the Congress can do only one thing. It can gear itself and make itself stronger for the future. The present, I don't see anything happening.
Moving on to the AICC Plenary now, Professor Singh, I don't know if you've read our reports, but both DK and I were on the ground in Raipur covering the plenary. And DK, you've written a column on this. And I just want you, Professor Singh, to weigh in on the events that happened at the plenary. So the star attraction at the event was supposed to be the Congress Working Committee election, which did not happen. And then, as both of us observed, ultimately it turned out to be this kind of congregation of leaders who have come just to say good things about Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, and then say that, okay, we have a new president, Mallikarjun Kharge, who's apparently been elected. So, in terms of the optics of the plenary, what would you have to say?
See, as far as the optics is concerned, everybody knew that, and everybody knows that the Congress is to be headed by a family, and I don't think there's anything wrong in it, right? If the family is there, you can't wipe out the family, right? The family will be there. The point is the family willing to understand and listen to dissenting voices? Hindi mein ek kahavat hai, nindak niyare rakhiye. If you're not willing to listen to the voices which are saner voices, and either ways, even if they are not saner voices, there's no harm in listening to them. There's no harm in understanding their viewpoints. What happens in the Congress is that if you speak to the leaders in private, they have one thing to say. If you speak to the same leaders in the public, they have very different things to say, right? So I think the Congress party and the Congress leadership should understand that, yes, over a period of time, there will be electoral fatigues and there will be some disenchantment with the BJP. The point is, will that be enough to propel it to power? I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening in the near future, because the BJP will try to ensure, just as it did in Tripura, for example, as DK said, change the leader. Who knows? Who knows that the one who's going to be the chief minister in Tripura today may just not be there in 6 months' time, because the Lok Sabha elections are coming in, and I'm told the way women have voted, there is also this signal of a lady minister maybe being moved back to Tripura, right? So the point is, So the point is that the BJP knows that politics is not about being stale. It's about dynamism. It is about being dynamic. The Congress will have to create that dynamism in its face. It's not happening right now. I mean, do many plenary sessions, pass many resolutions. At the end of it, if you're not connected with the common people, if you're not messaging the common men, it's not going to help you that way. Particularly now that we have just a year into the Lok Sabha elections, Rahul Gandhi should have been, one after the other. After that Bharat Jodo Yatra, which we all believe did galvanize the Congress to some certain extent, he should have started, being seen every day, everywhere, wherever he could, right? That's not happening, and that is why I don't see the plenary session was just a kind of an optics, and that optics may, give it some benefits here and there, but I don't see electorally that, unless that electoral mechanism is made to work on the field. Do you see Congress workers anywhere? I mean, a small, tiny party like Aam Aadmi Party has its supports of hundreds and thousands of people on the street fighting the BJP. I don't see that the Congress has that kind of a strength any longer to fight the BJP on the street. The electoral mobilization has to happen on the street, not in the plenary sessions. The plenary sessions are okay, but unless you have grassroots presence, nothing is going to happen. The plenary session, they would have been better advised doing that in open somewhere in some stadium, so that the leaders could at least have had an access to the people. The access between the leader and the people is missing in the Congress. That's perhaps the only reason to worry.
So we have a question by Rohan Navalkar, who's one of our members. He's asking, by cancelling the CWC elections, is Kharge trying to retain the influence of the Gandhis, or is he trying to pull a Narasimha Rao and consolidate power for himself? Also, will Shashi Tharoor be nominated to the CWC as a token of show by Kharge?
I mean, see, Narasimha Rao was a point. I mean, Narasimha Rao came into power at a point in time when the Congress family was not the kind of family it is today, right? The kids were, still, I mean, the two, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi were still in kids, and Sonia Gandhi had to create that kind of a position where they could be brought in later, right? Today is not that situation. Today, Rahul Gandhi is already in charge and doing all sort of things that he's doing. So I think, Kharge also knows very well, and Kharge is not a Narasimha Rao. I mean, Kharge is somebody who's there just as a mask. The face behind it still continues to be Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, right? So I don't think Kharge would ever do a Narasimha Rao, or Kharge could ever be a Sitaram Kesari. That's not there at all. That is why Kharge was preferred. Why else Kharge would have been preferred over Shashi Tharoor? I mean, look at Shashi Tharoor. He's been contesting, he's been winning, he's articulate, he's smart, he's young, he has the connect, he has the understanding of politics, he's knowledgeable. I mean, there's no match in terms of leadership. And remember, the younger people would have connected with Tharoor more than with Kharge, right? So when you sideline Tharoor for a Kharge, then you know that you are going back again to the same old organizational, hold, which is not delivered in the past. Why would it be delivered in the future? So that is the problem that I see. I mean, with all respect to Kharge ji, with all respect to all other older members, I think the Congress party has to call a spade a spade. I mean, what stops Rahul Gandhi? What stopped Rahul Gandhi from becoming a minister in Manmohan Singh's cabinet? What stops Rahul Gandhi from saying that, okay, I failed, but I'll continue to lead? I mean, he would get more sympathy from people. He would get more empathy from the people rather than, resigning and then controlling. Everybody knows. I mean, don't we know who controls the BJP? Don't we know who controls the Congress? We know that. This is a modern age. This is not 70s ka politics. This is not Akashvani ka politics. This is 24/7 channel ka politics. So I think the Congress will have to learn that, that lesson as quickly as it can.
Another question by Aditya, and this is actually on the Bharat Jodo Yatra. So he's asking, do you agree to this fact that if Congress is able to do well in Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan elections, then the whole credit will go to the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and if it fails, then the whole blame would go to the state units and the infighting leaders?
See, I mean, Ishadrita, I'll answer this on a very theoretical note. Objectivity is something that it's so difficult to define in politics. Success obviously will have many factors. Failure also has many factors. But the way our political parties are, created, and the way their organizational setup is, for every success, the leader is given the credit. For failure, there are so many things that are brought up. Karnataka is a opportunity for the Congress. Madhya Pradesh is again an opportunity for the Congress. And Rajasthan, I don't know. I'm not very sure what the ground situation is. They did a winner bypoll there in Rajasthan. But somehow, what about the situation if they do not do well? Of course, if they do well, there will be a momentum. Everybody knows that there will be a momentum. And yes, if they do well, Bharat Jodo Yatra will be given the credit. We are already giving the credit to Bharat Jodo Yatra. We are already saying that Bharat Jodo Yatra has done some good, and that's fact. But then that Bharat, when you Jodo, you have to have many things to Jodo. You cannot simply just have one Jodo and then you do one show and then say, okay. In fact, the Bharat Jodo Yatra's success, and then you had a new program called Haath Se Haath Jodo. What happened to that? I don't see the buzz happening on Haath Se Haath Jodo. And what about identifying alliance partners? Which states? Who will be the partners? Where are the talks happening? if they don't happen, this Bharat Jodo Yatra will also go into oblivion. So yes, these three states are important. And remember, these states were important last time around as well. Before the 2019 election, remember, these three states were very important. And that is why people were saying that because the Congress did well in these three elections, that will be a challenge. And then came something from across the borders. So be ready for that as well. So the Congress has to take two things, do the election, mathematics and everything on the states, and be ready for something that might come all of a sudden, right? So, a good opponent, a good batsman is one who can understand what will be the next ball.
You never know what's up Mr. Modi's sleeve. I think that's something that Congress should remember. Yeah. Last question on the plenary. So this is Aditya again asking, can we see any surprise new entrants in the CWC like Shashi Tharoor or Sachin Pilot, considering the fact that Congress might plan to promote new people who are close to Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi in the CWC? I will just tweak that a little bit for you, and I want to ask you, given the fact that the CWC is the highest decision making body of the Congress, who are the leaders that you think should find a place there? And of course, as Aditya said, there will be a lot of, Kharge's people being accommodated, Rahul's people being accommodated, Priyanka's people being accommodated. But realistically, given the fact that the party needs to have a strong decision-making body and a body that can look at varied interests, a dynamic body, who would you want to see in the CWC when it is formed?
Well, I mean, it's not a question of whom I would want to see. I mean, the point is, these kind of organizations, CWC and its parallel even in the BJP, are normally organizations which work on consensus, right? So don't expect that there will be a lot of people who would up straight be very critical in the open. No, I think what the Congress should be thinking about is who are the people, what are the communities that it is basically targeting, what are the communities that can be brought towards its fold, and then identify who are the leaders, even if they are at the state levels. I mean, there's nothing harm in, it's like Imran Khan picking the fast bowlers from the streets. So, at this point in time, the CWC remains the same CWC, and the structure remains the same, the nomenclature remains the same, the gentry remains the same, what it used to be earlier. So if you really want a CWC which is really radical and really full of enthusiasm, then yes, the younger ones must be picked up. And these younger ones are available in plenty, right? Somehow or the other, you have to say, I mean, politics is a very cruel game, Ishadrita. So you'll have to say tata bye-bye to people who have just crossed. I mean, look at the BJP did say that the 75 is the limit. I mean, of course, there will be exceptions. There are exceptions, and there will be a few more exceptions going to 2024. But then that age thing has to be there. That's how you reply to the BJP. That's the Congress's reply to the BJP. So, while the BJP continues to harp on the younger people, the Congress surprisingly keeps harping on the older people. I mean, they're very great people, they're very respectable people.
And in spite of them saying all this 50 under 50 stuff also, on paper, it's still the older people who are actually given.
I mean, Rahul Gandhi himself is 50 years old now. He's no longer 25. हम लोग ऐसे बता रहे Rahul Gandhi अभी भी 25 साल के, right? Times has flown, times pass by very fast, right? So I think Rahul Gandhi should have his people, the people that he likes, and there are plenty of them in the states. I definitely will go for Sachin Pilot if he is accommodated, because he's aggressive. I mean, look at the will of that leader. He went into Rajasthan. He said, I'm not going to go back to Delhi. I'll be in Rajasthan for 5 years. And he did that. What is the return that you give to that gentleman? So, if you just keep doing a balance between old and new, remember the old will go away anyways. And so don't lose the younger people. Look at the dynamic people. Look at the people who have the connect with the masses. And Rahul Gandhi knows who are the people best suited for that. I think he has to go away from that typical JNU kind of a coterie that is created around him. That politics is not going to help his cause. That used to be a politics of the 70s when the educational institutions were handed over to the left, and the left tried to create its ideological structures there. That's gone. The BJP has its hold on the educational institutions as well. So I think the Congress will do well to understand this lesson. Rahul Gandhi has to come out, be open, be ready to go to jail, be ready to go anywhere. If, at the end of it, you are aiming the highest possible position in a democratic country. You don't get anything for free. There's no free lunches any longer in politics.
Thank you so much, Professor Singh. I think the last line especially was very, very poignant. The Congress cannot think that the BJP is going to somehow make way for them in the next, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever.
Electoral fatigue hoga nahi, wo hota nahi hai, because every time, the generation keeps changing, the BJP leadership keeps changing, so there's a sink. Fatigue to tab hoga na jab upar change nahi ho raha, log change ho rahe. That's only when you have the fatigue. That's not happening. That's why they are changing their leaders, and they change the leaders, they win. Look at the BJP, they are changing the leaders and they are winning, they're delivering. They know who's become a liability and they don't run with the liability. Congress continues to run with liabilities unless it's, it has to lose its weight. I mean, simple as that. Unless you cut down the flab, you cannot be a fast runner. That's something that the Congress, the sooner it learns, the better it is.
Okay, thank you, Professor Singh. Thank you, DK, for joining us on this episode of Political Adda. We've discussed a lot of things, really, from elections in the Northeast to the bypolls to the AICC Plenary session, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be back again next week discussing a very important political topic of that week. Thanks for watching. Please join us for the next episode.